Moscow. Yuri Cortez is not the kind of name you expect to be smack bang in the middle of a wild Croatian pile-up in the seconds after the defining moment of a World Cup semi-final. Capturing history, however, can be a risky business. Creating it can be exhausting. But even as he untangled his weary limbs from the human spaghetti that had briefly caused concern in one corner of the Luzhniki Stadium as bodies piled on top of one another, Mario Mandzukic had the presence of mind, not to mention the compassion, to stay and check that Cortez was okay. Mario Mandzukic celebrates his game-winning goal in the second half of extra time. Frank Austin, The Associated Press. Cortez is a veteran photographer who works for the Agence France press news agency and has covered global conflicts from the Middle East to Latin America. In that context, this had been a much less lethal battle to capture. But he could still have come away from it with an injury. Read more. Article continued below with World Cup title, France could launch a dynasty. Convicted Croatian official still a World Cup if Croatia bars former player from World Cup delegation over pro-Ukraine video after Mandzukic had fired home what proved to be the decider of this enthralling semi-final, a 2-1 victory over England. The veteran striker wheeled away wild-eyed to the corner where Croatian fans had been massed. Ivan Strinic jumped up on his huge frame and other teammates joined in, dragging the mass over to the bank of photographers. That's when Cortez got tangled up in things. Mandzukic made sure he was okay. So too did playmaker Ivan Rakitic. Defender Domagoj Vida went a step further and kissed Cortez on the forehead. For his troubles he captured photographs that are sure to become iconic. How iconic? That will be decided in a couple of days. Croatia, the most relentless, unputdownable side to make a World Cup final in recent memory, will shake off all that lactic acid, all the knocks and bangs, and return here to this corner of Moscow on Sunday to take on France in the decider of this always dramatic tournament. After 3 straight games that went to 120 minutes and more, the instant assumption would be that France should be far too fresh for them, that Cortez's pictures will actually chronicle the high point for this Croatian side. That would be a foolish assumption. Article continued below. A team that doesn't know when it's down, never mind out. Croatia have confounded all comers in Russia. In rising up from a first half when they could have been 3 goals behind within a half hour, Croatia confounded English assumptions too. Gareth Southgate's side have been one of the feel-good stories of this feel-great World Cup, but some of the qualities that marked them out may have counted against them. They had arrived here young and carefree and unscarred by the black history of their country's endeavors on the world stage for over half a century now. But in failing to take the chances that presented themselves in the wake of Kieran Trippier's delicious 5th-minute free kick, their youth and carefree nature counted against them. A more experienced side, a team that were a bit more canny, may have realized sooner that things were slipping away from them on the hour as Croatia finally rose. In the first half we were really good. We had chances, said Southgate afterward. There was a spell in the second half when they got the goal and their tails were up. We had to weather the storm. Possibly at that moment, we were hanging on a bit. Knockout football is fine margins. When you have spells, you have to make them count. England didn't. Croatia did. First, the tireless Ivan Perisic stole in front of 2 England defended to get a flick on a booming, deep delivery from Sim Bersalco. He ninja'd it home with the studs on the sole of his boot. Call it martial artistry. Perisic and others could have killed off England before the end of normal time, as Southgate's side listed horribly at times. Captain Harry Kane cut adrift and the midfield stretched to breaking points by Luka Modric, Rakitic, Perisic and Ante Rebic, who could all smell blood. England did shake themselves out of the stupor briefly in the early stages of extra time, the contest flowing at a pulsating pace, then tension suffocating. In the end it was Mandzukic's instincts that gave Croatia their clinching moment as he snuck behind an unforgivably lax John Stones and powered past Jordan Pickford before wheeling away to that pile-up. Stones had wandered out of defense like a man who thought the job was done, not realizing Mandzukic was lurking. It was almost a microcosm of England's first semi-final outing in 28 years. They thought the job was done, but then it wasn't. All of the feel-good vibes accrued on the way here to Moscow will ensure that this exit doesn't get the same ugly tabloid post-mortem that usually greets English teams arriving back from World Cups. But that doesn't mean there weren't a lot of lessons for them on this night. Zlatko Dalik's side had dished out plenty. They now have one big night to go before they leave Russia. They are adamant they won't be leaving with just Cortez's photos and memories for souvenirs. What the lads played tonight was fantasy, they've made history, Dalik said. We haven't said our last word, there is still one more game to go. God willing, we will be world champions.